Before I get started, I saw The Box Trolls over the weekend. Long story short, be average, for I would buy it on Blu-ray or DVD. Really great film, you should check it out. Now that that's out of the way, I'm Bradford Lassiter, and this is The Rundown. I was going to do a video on why Michael Bay should step down as director for the next Transformers movie in honor of the Blu-ray release of Transformers Age of Extinction. It's out on Blu-ray and DVD now, so go ahead and get it. For some of you that liked it, I know most people didn't like it, but hey, for the people that do like it, it's out, so go get it. But then some news broke out yesterday that made me be like, you know what, I'm going to save that topic for another day. Now, I thought Hollywood was starting to run out of ideas, but then after this news, I was totally convinced. The Wall Street Journal has revealed that a movie based on the popular video game Tetris is in the works. So here is the rundown of my thoughts on this. Yes, people, you heard me correctly. The game where you move block shapes around is going to be turned into what they're saying, a big sci-fi epic. Now, when I heard about this, my initial reaction was, now I hear this movie is going to be produced by Larry Castanoff, to which I don't really know who he is, so I did some research on him. And apparently, this is not the first video game movie that he helped put to the big screen. The first was 1995's Mortal Kombat, and since then he has since worked on movies that feature the Bionicle and Lego collection, and an animated movie called Food Fight, which is featuring brand mascots like Mrs. Butterworth and Mr. Clean. Yes, you heard me correctly. In fact, I didn't even know that this movie even existed until I did some research on this guy. He made a movie that has brand mascots like Mrs. Butterworth and Mr. Clean in a food fight. Make sense of all that, and then get back to me. Now, if you grew up in the 80s, I know I grew up in the 90s, but even if you grew up in the early 90s, which I did, you're aware of the cultural impact that Tetris has had. First, it started out as a software game that was transported to the Soviet Union to the US at the height of the Cold War. And then, thanks to Nintendo making Tetris a playable game for the Game Boy, it became one of the top-selling video games of all time. Now, despite its popularity, there is absolutely zero story to Tetris, which is why it floors me that they're making a movie based on one of the simplest games ever made. It's pretty obvious. Whatever studio is going to get behind this, they're hoping that the title alone will sell movie tickets. I just don't understand how they're going to turn one of the simplest games into a full feature-length movie. But hey, maybe it's possible because they turned a board game into a movie, but even that movie, it was kind of meh. Now granted, I did have fun with that movie, and I know most people didn't really like it, but even I gotta admit, that movie was pretty mediocre. Another reason why this floors me is because video game movies hasn't really had a good rep over the past 2 decades. Now, for nostalgic reasons, people generally love the Mortal Kombat movie, and that's really the only reason why they do. Because otherwise, Mortal Kombat is not that great of a film. The Resident Evil movies are a big hit financially, but as movies, personally, I like the first 2 movies, but everything else after that, everything else outside of those 2 movies are generally not that good as far as video game movies. This year we had Need for Speed, and I actually like Need for Speed. I reviewed that movie, the link is in the description below. I know some people didn't like it, but I thought it was a good small step moving forward with video game movies. And now we're getting an Assassin's Creed movie, which actually has potential to be a good video game movie. We're also getting a movie based on the game The Last of Us, and that also has potential to be a good movie. Then we heard that they're going to make a movie based on Sonic the Hedgehog, and it's going to be a CGI live-action movie. Kind of like how Sony did with the Smurfs, and that was bullshit, though I never really liked the Smurfs, but it's still bullshit that they did it that way. I don't know why they're pushing Sonic that way, but hey, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt, because unlike Tetris, Sonic actually has a story. We have all these other video game properties that have potential to be good movies, and now they're getting greenlit. And with Tetris, I feel like we're taking a step backwards as far as taking video game movies seriously. In the end, I don't know how they're going to do this, but like Sonic, again, I'll give the movie the benefit of the doubt, because it could be good. And they say it's going to be some big sci-fi epic, and if that's the route they're going, then I envision that the movie's going to be about some futuristic world where people compete in a game called Tetris. And Tetris is treated as some big sport event. You had some BS story about 2 rivals or something that could work. Just saying. And that's my rundown on this Tetris movie that is in the works. So if you like what you see, subscribe to this channel, subscribe to my other channel. The links are in the description below. And be sure to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. And be sure to check out my website. Peace.